England police officer is deemed in the right after an arrest took social media by storm. A video released by the Thomas family last week shows their uncle Elijah Thomas being dragged across the street by Officer Chris Holmes.
Jessica Rank has been following this story actually since it began and since this video hit the internet. She says there are questions to this case since the arrest. Some have been answered. Did any of it fill in the blanks, Jess?
Yeah, Bob and Laura, if you guys will remember last week during my interview with the family, their biggest concern was about Elijah Thomas's mental state, and they feel that circumstances should have been handled differently because of that. But after talking to police today, they released that body camera footage, and they say that this is really more of a criminal case rather than a mental health crisis.
He's dragging my uncle across the street.
A night filled with emotion and concern leaves several questions about how this arrest played out in England.
He was getting drugged like he was a dog.
Nearly a week after this interview with the Thomas family, our station is getting a look through a second lens.
This is not a mental health case. This was a criminal side of it.
England Police Chief Bill Durrison says he believes the body cam footage of this arrest shows the officer was in the right. As the tape begins, Officer Holmes is seen approaching Elijah Thomas outside a laundromat.
It's kind of common knowledge to us that we'll carry on a conversation with him first to kind of gauge where he's at.
Durrison says Elijah Thomas is known to have a mental illness and his officers are trained to detect it.
I hate saying it like this, but he was in his right mind.
Moments later, the officer tells Thomas about a warrant out for his arrest.
Hold on a second, okay?
Thomas takes off and is arrested. We hear several times the officer telling Elijah to stand up. And it's at this moment mental health comes into question.
He has a problem, and we're trying to tell you that.
Family says Elijah wasn't in his right mind. Police say he was, and therefore deemed it passive resistance.
You don't grab them by their handcuffs. You don't grab them by their elbow. You place one arm underneath at the armpit and grab with the other and hold their body weight up. And that's exactly what Officer Holmes did.
Chief Durrison says officers need to protect themselves and the person being arrested.
In a situation like that, that's rapidly evolving with more and more participants and the lack of backup, Officer Holmes had one single thought: get him to the car. That is the safe spot.
The police chief here in England says had the officer thought that Thomas was going through a mental health crisis, the situation would have been handled differently. Family would have been called and possibly an ambulance. That officer is facing disciplinary action for the words that he used during that arrest, and he will be forced to go to a mandatory de-escalation training, according to the police chief. Of course, we have reached out to the family for additional comment following this news from the police department, and we have not heard back yet. Of course, you can watch the full video on the police department's Facebook page if you would like. That's the very latest out here in England, though. I'm just Rank for KARK 4 News.